Hello, beautiful people. I hope that you are all doing so well. I hope that you are thriving. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. And most importantly, I hope that you have had a lovely, dovely, fantastical week so far. If you haven't, I'm so sorry. I'm sending you so much love, so many hugs, and just overall good vibes. And I hope that your situation at some point down the line turns around. If you didn't know where you are at this moment in time, you're currently in the car with me outside my family home, listening to the Doing Life with Love and Magic podcast. I'm your host, Dwentle, and this is the space whereby I like to chat shit, where I like to share my life's perspective as I navigate clumsily through my 20s, because I just feel like this is just such a beautiful time for growth and for self-exploration, to lay down the foundations, if you will, before we get older and we start changing the foundations or building upon the foundations, essentially. Even though I feel like as people, we never really fully stop learning and growing if we choose it. So in this space, we choose that on a regular basis. So yeah, welcome. I hope that, at the end of this episode, you can walk away with something, whether it's a good feeling, whether it's a little bit of a lesson, or it could be the alternative. You could figure out that this is not for you, and that's okay. Life is too short to be engaging in content that doesn't resonate with you. So yeah, thank you for joining me once again today. Let me kick off with the latest French phrase that I've learned. Le potel est vert. The bottle is green. My grammar could be all over the place, but you know what? It's fine. As I'm learning French, I feel like I really struggle with this whole some words being feminine, some being masculine, and knowing the right vibes to pair with what. So yeah. Anyway, guys, happy Tuesday. Feels like a very random day to be filming, but I think as I was driving, I was hit with a feeling of inspiration. So I just thought, let me share. It's been such a long time since I've felt this feeling of wanting to share and kind of explore. And I guess the theme that came to my mind today, and I'm going to open it up just so I can remind myself, is this feeling of daring to dream and giving yourself permission to play, essentially. So what that means to me is, first of all, just to kick off the day, just to start the day, just to get into the vibes of the day. I was hit with this feeling of inspiration around I guess retelling myself the story of what I want my life to look like. And I think it's just come from this place of having many conversations about how one is dealing with stress at the moment with the parentals, and from those conversations just kind of also just being, I guess, finding pockets of moments that kind of remind me of the type of lifestyle that I'd like to lead one day soon, and also just asking myself the questions again of how do we do this? I feel like it's really been an ongoing question. And I don't know if it's just me. Maybe all the corporate girlies out there can relate, but I just feel like it's hard not to be a corporate drone. It sounds so terrible, and maybe it's a lesson that I'm needing to learn right now while I'm in my 20s, and as I progress through life, that's gonna change a shit ton. But I feel like it's a lesson that keeps coming up, and I keep having to ask myself the question of how do we work through this? What am I being called to do to move past this kind of point of not I don't know, this point of not making work my end all and be all. And I guess that's kind of why I got these pockets of inspiration. But anyway, that's besides the point. My point was, I was hit with this feeling of inspiration this morning of literally as I was driving, because sometimes while I'm driving, it's nice to do these things, especially in the morning, because I make it a point not to be texting anybody or like stressing about life. Like literally that morning time, that morning drive is crucial for me to get the mood like right before I get into work. So sometimes in the morning when I'm driving to gym, what I'm trying to do is get back into the magical morning process of basically talking out loud what I'm grateful for in terms of my day, kind of wanting to speak aloud what I'd like to manifest within the day. So basically saying, yeah, this went right. Whatever it is that I'm nervous about, whatever it is that's stressing me out, I talk about it so I can get it off my chest. Then I've kind of gone to a thing of thinking about, okay, what are my overall manifestations in the different pockets of my life? Because I just feel like thinking of the end goal and the bigger vision just helps recreate that excitement. And I guess where it differed a little bit this morning was I was feeling this need and urge to kind of revisit like what I'd like my day to day to look like. And I just had a little bit of fun kind of imagining what that would look like. Like, I don't know, like I was like down to imagining what kind of breakfast I'd be having on a regular happy day. Like I'd love to do a smoothie bowl situation. I'd love to be that girl and make my marches again. I had to sacrifice that for the month. It sounds so trivial and petty to be like, oh, you're sacrificing a matcha, oh, look at you, so many problems you have. But I had to sacrifice it from a financial standpoint. There's just too many activities that are going on this month to be buying my matchas right now. But hopefully next month I can get back into it. Like I've been craving it. Because like the thing is, with me, I have to buy the tin of matcha so I can make them on a regular basis. And now I've seen that this one coffee place has like the strawberry one, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, that's besides the point. My point is, today I allowed myself to envision what I'd like a day in the life of me to look like. What are the things that would make me happy? What would I like to try? And like some things came up. It's like I really wish, and I don't know if it's just because I've just been away on vacation and I felt like super inspired and like excited about life, but I would really love to learn how to bake bread. Like a fresh, delicious bread. Like that one I had. Like it was so good. So good. It was like stuff like that. Like I'd love to learn how to bake a bread and be able to make a fresh loaf of bread and have it be delicious, and add in that rosemary. Oh my god. So it's like stuff like that. It's like stuff like making smoothie bowls on a regular basis. Stuff that I pictured myself doing within the comfort of my own space. And like the more that I think about having my own space, the more I want it. It's kind of like giving the dog situation. The more that I think about it, the more that I want it. And I feel like in some ways, when shit like this starts to happen and I start to feel urges towards certain things, it kind of, in a way, signifies to me that that is my next nudge. Like that is the next step that I'm going to be heading towards. When I start to feel obsessive and like I want this thing right now, it's kind of like signifying to me like where the focus and where my life is heading. It's very strange. Like sometimes I feel like it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Like I feel like sometimes I don't know how to explain it. Like sometimes I'll go through moments when I feel that way about people, not necessarily like obsessive, but kind of obsessive, like when I think about them all the time. And sometimes it's weird. It's like sometimes like it results in something significant happening between me and that person. Sometimes it's just to signify to me that there's certain things involving that person that I kind of need to work through. And I feel like it's only recently now that I've kind of made that distinction that sometimes the obsessive thinking and thoughts isn't always necessarily about the person when it's like romantical related. Sometimes it's just about working through whatever that relationship means to me. Like, if it means like I need to address, I don't know, how they made me feel, or like wanting or analyzing a feeling that I got from being in that person and looking at it in like a critical new way and like trying to see, okay, what does this mean for me? Does this mean that I need to give that to myself? Is it something that I need to be mindful for going into the next relationship with the person? Like, it's interesting, this whole life thing, and I just feel like sometimes I need to be like not too literal about these specific things. Like, when I look at the recent need for like independence and space, that's kind of what that represents for me, this whole thing of wanting my own space. It's about a sense of freedom and having a sort of independence and a space to just do me and be me. And it's very hard, like, when you have that like feeling and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to satisfy this feeling, because I feel like, in a way, with the way that I've been acting from time to time, not to say that it's been 100% perfect, but I just feel like in the way that I have been acting recently, it's come from a place of wanting to create that bit of a feeling of like, okay, I'm in my own space, I'm in my own bubble, I'm in my own world. Hence why I will block out the rest of the household from time to time, because I want to kind of imagine myself in my own space, doing my own thing, thinking my own thoughts, watching whatever I want to watch. And like, that's kind of the feeling that maybe locking myself into like my content and all of that gives to me, since I can't necessarily physically manifest a whole apartment on my own, because like right now in the reality it doesn't look like it's possible. I mean, it could be possible, it could be, but is it gonna look like exactly what's in my head? Possibly not. Is it going to give that feeling of freedom if I go for it now? Probably not. I'll probably feel a lot more stressful, because the finances just don't feel realistic. But I think that's the beauty of manifestation sometimes. Like, once you get that idea and you start putting certain actions in place to kind of, or you start like following certain nudges related to whatever it is, then all of a sudden the physical and what's in your head like match up somewhere. And I feel like in some ways these like feelings and these thoughts have served me in a good way, because there's been so many instances in my life whereby I have had those feelings, and all of a sudden, like, I see things are coming to fruition. Granted, sometimes they come with their own shit, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, that is basically life. But I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I think I'm preparing to leave the nest soon. Like, on a spiritual level, I think there's a thing of start to prepare yourself for that. And yeah, I'm just interested to see what comes up that's gonna be in alignment with like achieving that specific goal. Like, what opportunity is gonna come up, like what little manifestation is going to, like, I don't know, like what opportunity, what saving grace from the universe is just gonna appear to assist with making that feel a lot closer than what it really is. So what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes the universe will plant some ideas in your brain like in alignment with the things that you want, as long as if you're clear with what you want. And the fun thing is following those nudges from time to time. Hence why I'm here, hence why I'm recording, hence why I thought, okay, let me share this, because for some reason I'm being asked to do it. So if you feel at any point in your life that you are being urged to do something and express yourself in a different way that feels a little bit out of the ordinary, maybe you should listen to that nudge, because it might just take you a step closer to wherever it is that you want to go. And I feel like I need to start being serious about listening to, the cues from within, because maybe they might take me a step closer to where I want to go and these thoughts that I'm thinking. And it's the same thing when it comes to like really wanting like my dog. It's just, I don't know what it is, but like I feel this like, I don't know, I don't know if I've ever said I've never wanted anything so much in my life that I actually don't know. Like, I just really want this creature so bad. And I don't know, I think it's just going to teach me a little thing about responsibility towards another living being, and giving me an opportunity to love something outside of myself. Not to say that I don't love anyone else. Like, I do, but I feel like maybe it's a different way of expressing some love to something, because it's like you're protecting something that's so sweet and like innocent in a way, and you are also allowing it to show you some sort of love in return. I feel like there's something psychological behind that, honestly, and it could be that I've heard something all about it. Like, I don't know, maybe it's an opportunity for you to just like showcase love and receive love when you maybe have difficulty doing that. I don't know. Don't quote me. I'm not a psychologist. I know fuck all about all of that stuff. I studied branding and marketing. So I only know what I know based off osmosis, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think it's very interesting, some of the cues that I'm feeling here. It could also be that maybe soon and very soon there will be an opportunity to adopt a pet in the future. And maybe that's why I'm feeling so called towards adopting one or having one, or like thinking about one just makes me feel like I just have a visceral emotional response to it. It's very strange. But not like in a bad way, but in a way that feels like overwhelmingly positive and excited. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know what it is. So, yeah, that's kind of like where the vibes are today. It's just about following the nudges, doing shit that makes us feel excited again. I think it's just because we're heading into summer, and like, I think in my mind, in some ways, I'm also getting ready to gear down. So, like, while things are kind of ramping up at work, I'm looking for ways to kind of slow down internally. And, sometimes people will say shit that will like rock the boat a little bit. Like, as much as it's upsetting, and yeah, literally as much as it was upsetting to have that conversation with my parents the other day about like just the ways in which I'm coping and not making work the center of everything and all of that shit. As much as some of what was said like irritated me, it kind of also just brought me back to thinking of the big picture. Because I think sometimes as humans we'll get so wrapped up in the day-to-day that we have trouble stepping back and looking at the big picture. Like, while I'm sitting there hunched over my computer stressing about like finding a price point or whatever it is, like, it's so inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. I want to be able to step back and look at my life and be like, it was led with love. I got to explore the things that like entered my brain and had so much fun doing shit. And right now, like, in some ways I feel like, yeah, that's here and there, but I think as we're leading into summer, I'm like, okay, take a step back. What are we doing? How are we slowing down? How are we having fun? Aside from like changing the hair and nails every once in a while. Like, yes, that's fun, but how are you fueling your soul? How are you expressing yourself? I feel like I also haven't been expressing myself as much. And I gotta give myself grace because, like, I've been busy, new environment, new ways of working. I've had to, like, readjust my brain to stop behaving in a certain way. I've also noticed, like, whenever I'm stressed about something, I tend to show up late. Is that, I feel like, I don't know what it is, but, like, when something or space stresses me out, I get late. It contributes to me being late. Does that make sense? It just could be me trying to justify my lack of preparation. But I feel like lately at work, I've been late. And I went through a phase of like being relatively on time. But lately, I'm a little bit late. And it kind of correlates with me feeling stressed. And at my previous job, I started like towards the latter end of me closing out my life that side of the world. I was late all the fucking time because I didn't really like want to be there, so I just showed up late. I mean, I still got my work done, I always did, but I don't know, I just felt like I needed more time to be with myself and mentally prepare myself to go into this space and give it as much as possible. It's very strange, very weird. Just an observation. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like my thoughts for the day. It's kind of like where my headspace has been at. And I just wanted to share if in case anyone ever felt that way, or anyone has been receiving any nudges towards like doing certain things. Like, don't ever question why you get certain thoughts or ideas to do certain things. I think just follow up and do it. Because a long while ago, when I used to like profusely listen to manifestation content, I kind of think that died down a little bit because it got a little bit like overwhelming in terms of like listening to manifestation stuff all the fucking time. A long time ago, when I used to listen to that, the main message that I used to receive all the time is that ideas are kind of like blessings from the universe and your ancestors and whatever else that you believe in, God, whoever. Like, those are blessings, and whenever you get an idea, you should really jump on it, whether it's writing it down somewhere so you don't forget, or if it's something like, I would really like to go grab a coffee in the afternoon, when that's not part of your usual routine, because what you'll find is wherever you're going, like, that coffee shop could potentially lead to you finding the love of your life, whoever, or like it might result in, I don't know, maybe this might be the best performing podcast I've ever created in my entire life. Like, it could be that because I'm creating from a place of inspiration, because something within me told me to do it. So like, it's very special when you get those kind of nudges and those types of like, yeah, so just do it. So just do it. It's not only a reminder to you, it's also a reminder to me that we need to listen to ourselves, especially if we're going through a phase whereby we're feeling a little bit burnt out as corporate girlies. Especially when we're feeling a little bit burnt out. Like sometimes our body will cue for us to do certain things because it'll help us either release some of that tension that we're holding within our bodies, or it might lead to something magnificent and great. We just need to make time to listen and act upon those things, because our innermost deep thoughts and feelings and inspirations and ways of being are so important, and we forget that. Like, I certainly forget that I'm beyond just being a 9 to 5 girly. Like, I have hopes and aspirations and dreams of, far beyond just clickety clack, 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 clack at my laptop. Like, there's also the part of me that wants to be inspired by life and create and do magical, cool things. So it's just super important for me to like feed that part of myself, especially because like lately I feel like I haven't had an opportunity to really lean into it as much as I was previously. And I think towards the latter half of last year, I got really inspired because I was in a place of, and also at the beginning of this year as well, I feel like I was in a place of like inspiration, because I knew that a chapter of my life was coming to an end and I needed an outlet to kind of help release that tension and those emotions, like as that chapter was closing. And also I feel like last year I was going through a lot that allowed me to kind of step into a space whereby I was able to share some of the things that I was going through a little bit. Not everything, because, there's certain things that you gotta keep offline. But like, I feel like my main thing here is just being a corporate girly that's struggling to find her identity amidst everything else. Like, it's so hard because it's like, I think the thing that I've really been trying to get down to the bottom of, like, for the past 4 years, but it's like on and off, and I don't really give myself the opportunity to explore it fully. But it's like, take this thing away. Say, for whatever reason, I don't have a job tomorrow, right? It happens to some of us in this world. But I think I've been trying to explore and understand, like, who am I without that? What skills do I have that can, help me live? What can I do aside from being a corporate person? Like, I don't know. I forget sometimes, honestly. Like, I honestly forget. And I think it's by doing stuff like this, going on adventures, like listening to nudges, listening to content aligned to the things that I find interesting, that just really helps me get a sense of who am I and what is it that I want to offer this world, like outside from just working a 9 to 5 job. It's like a very big question. And I feel like, as much as I may preach about, like, okay, let's follow our nudges, let's do what we love, let's do all of that stuff, like, sometimes I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I know I love to move. I love to, like, explore and try new things, even though I don't do that on a regular basis. I know I love to talk. I know, to an extent, I love people. I like to listen to people. I like to inspire people from time to time. But, like, I just feel like the potency of those things has, like, watered down so much, in the past couple of years. And, I mean, I'd love to just, like, ramp it up again. But it's like, I think my main question has been, how do I do that? And I don't know, I just feel like it's also become a little bit difficult and tricky because I feel constricted, and maybe it's also an excuse, but I feel like I'm constricted by the confines of living at home as well. Like, I can't fully be who I'd like to be because I'm just mindful of the people around me. Not to say that I'm like a completely different person outside of my family. It's weird to say, but I just feel like in some ways I feel like I need to hold back certain parts of who I want to be to kind of fit the narrative of being within this space, or to align with whatever it is that's going on here. And it's a weird space to be in. I don't know if I'm just bugging, if I'm being ungrateful, or if I'm being selfish or something along those lines, but I just truly feel that way. I for some reason, I believe that I will get to be more myself and explore more of like what I want to do and who I want to be once I step away from home. I mean, I've always heard that that's when the most of your growth happens, is when you step away from places that provide some sort of comfort to you. That's when you really grow and you come into your own. And I think I'm feeling a little bit stunted because I'm still within the roof of home. But at the same time, I know financially it's a good decision, but I feel like I need to sacrifice a little bit of my growth for it to work. So yeah, those are the thoughts for the day. I don't know if that's helped you at all. I just wanted to like word vomit and get my thoughts out there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the thoughts for now. Thank you so much for listening to me rant and rave. Like, if that provided any sort of help or confirmed any feelings that you are feeling at this moment, because maybe you are a young 20-something, 18, 30-something year old that feels this way. And I guess this is me reaffirming to you that that's okay. Like, you're okay. Well, are we okay? That is the question. Sometimes we're not okay, but we're okay at the same time. But I guess my message to you is to just hang in there. We will make it through together, so long as we trust that whatever nudges we get given as we navigate through this life, if we follow them, it will lead us to the right place. Like, life is very confusing and our paths are not always 100% linear, and that's okay. But this is just a reminder, especially if you're someone that tends to be very stuck in the day-to-day minuscule detail of it all. It's your reminder to just sometimes take a pause, take a step back and just look at your life in the grand picture of it. Like, draw yourself a picture, create a mood board, like connect to that sense of what you want your life to look like and feel like in the grand sense of everything, especially when it feels like your day-to-day is feeling overwhelming and you just need a reminder of what you're actually working towards. And I think that's what really helped about my session this morning as I was driving, is that sometimes I forget that the reason why we are doing this work is so that we're able to afford really delicious food that fuels our body. We're able to afford a gym membership, trainers, whatever, that thing. We're able to afford vacations with friends and all of that. Like, yeah. We are able to one day afford a dog that we take care of. Like, it's just so important to remind ourselves that this is all for some sort of grand reason. And whatever feelings of inadequacy or confusion or feelings like we need to give up on something, those are all temporary in the journey. At the end of the day, we will get to where we're going if we believe that we are capable and have the ability to get there. And it's okay not to know how we're going to get there, but just knowing and having faith that whatever ideas that are planted in our heads in terms of the life that we're meant to lead and what we're meant to have been placed there for a reason. It's to tell us that it's possible for us because we dream of it. Just because your romantic love life is not looking great right now does not mean that you will never have a really healthy, successful relationship if you wish it to be. It just means that yours is going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be all that much sweeter once you get to it. As long as if you keep the faith and the hope that it's going to happen for you, and you continue to fuel that dream of yours every now and again, maybe to the point of obsession sometimes. I've heard that people that are obsessed with their dreams and stuff end up making it happen. As long as if you continue to fuel stuff like that, we'll get there eventually. It's just about having hope and hanging in there. And I think that's kind of like how I like to delude myself and tell myself, like, every single day. I think I'm very delusional in thinking that I'm going to get the things that I want. And so far it has worked. It's just I need to be a little bit more delusional about certain things. And I'll trick myself into believing that it will happen. And then when it does happen, I'm going to be like, but see, I knew. So I'm telling you, be delusional and believe that you will too, and you will. You see? You get me? You feel me? We're on the same wavelength? Yeah. Anyway, babes, thank you for listening to me rant and rave. That went on for a lot longer than I thought it would. Please take care of yourself. I'm going to drop some links in the description about things that I'm really enjoying. Today, I listened to a really lovely podcast episode from the Skinny Confidential. I literally listen to like 4 of the same things all the time. But I literally listened to a Skinny Confidential podcast episode with Heidi Klum today, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. It was really nice. So all the things that I'm enjoying listening to at the moment, I'll pop them into the description. I always like to share that in case anyone's like into anything that is there. Sometimes it's random, sometimes it's relevant to the podcast episode. But yeah. Anyway, so check that out in the description. Take care of yourself. Can you comment if you liked this episode? Give me a rating if you will, because I'm really trying to get people to listen to this if they would be into it, and just grow the podcast. I don't ask enough for that shit. But yeah, so that's that. Don't forget, everything that you do within this life, always do it with love and a sprinkling of magic, even if it feels hard, even if you're crying. Just sprinkle a little bit of magic in there, And yeah, I'll catch up with you. I'm trying to throw in a French phrase that I know. Bienvenue? Is that? No. Bonne nuit. Bonne nuit. Okay, we can do that because it's the evening. It's evening. Bonne nuit. Bon voyage. Even though it's irrelevant to this whole entire conversation. And at this point, I'm just throwing out words that I know. But goodbye. I'll see you later. Mwah.